Welcome once again to Breakfast Central. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the immediate retirement of all service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, advisors, Comptroller-General of Customs, and others from service. According to a statement released by the Director Information for Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Willie Bassey, the President approved their replacements with immediate effect.
The newly appointed officers include Malam Nuhu Ribadu as National Security Advisor, Major General C.G. Musa as Chief of Defense Staff, Major T.A. Lagbaja as Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral E.A. Ogala as Chief of Naval Staff, Air Vice Marshal H.B. Abubakar as Chief of Air Staff, D.I.G. Kayode Egbetokun as Acting Inspector General of Police, and Major General E.P.A. Undianye as Chief of Defense Intelligence. Similarly, the President has approved the appointment of Adeni Bashir Adewale as the AG Comptroller-General of Customs, amongst other appointments made. Now, this morning we're looking into this, and joining us to talk about this latest development is a political analyst and a former special advisor to the former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike. We're talking about Opunabo Inkotaria. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Oliver, sir, and Nigerians.
Of course, I would go straight into the conversation and ask if you are excited about the firing and the hiring that was done. Also looking at the fact that many people are wondering what's going on. There's been a lot of shaking happening since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into office. Are these shaking, all these shakings happening, is it for the benefit of Nigerians, or in the words of some people, is it just grandstanding?
Well, I think it's for the benefit of Nigerians. Well, first and foremost, it's expected. Save the MDAs. When you talk of the service chiefs, of course, it's the norm that once you have a new team, you want to work with people that you're comfortable with. They are like your ADCs, your Odleys, and what have you. And don't also forget that Tinubu is a Nigerian, a man who has lived in Nigeria, and probably sees of the security terrain, what is going on there. Without trying to denigrate the achievements of the former service chiefs, especially these ones that have just been relieved of their duties. I hate when people say sack, because when they say sack, it's connotative. I don't really like that. It's as if you committed something, you did something wrong, and you're being forced out of office. I think the best thing to say is they were retired or they have been replaced, because I don't like that word sack. Having said that, the service chiefs, we all knew that they were going to go, because it's a tradition in this country. Once you get, not just in this country, I mean, the worldwide, once you have a new CEC, he's a Nigerian. He knows them, so to speak. For example, the Inspector General of Police, Acting Inspector General of Police, I think was his CSO or something of that sort. And at one point was in charge of the rapid response when Tinubu was the governor of the state, that Lagos state. So he knew this man right from day one. And the man is well read. I mean, he has a PhD in computer science or something, and is well versed in security issues because he has degrees in all those places. Such a man is quite competent. I'm not saying the predecessor is not as competent, that's not what I'm saying. But the predecessor was long overdue. Don't forget the matter is in court over the extension of his tenure in office. He ought to have left, I think, since last year, thereabout. Then you talk of the other services, we are talking of the military, we are talking of the army, the air force, you are talking of the navy. Of course, they ought to go because Tinubu will have his own preference. That does not necessarily mean they did not acquit themselves creditably in office, but Tinubu will definitely have his own preference. And Tinubu is not Buhari that will keep a service chief for 6 years. And after you retire them, you now make them, what is it called, ambassadors, notwithstanding their ineptitude in office, fraudulent acts in office. I can say fraudulent because Mongulu, who was the NSC, said the equipment they met after the exit of the service could not justify the amount that was released. And even their successors also corroborated that fact, that the equipment they met as service chiefs could not justify the amount that was released. So which means they were fraudulent. That's just it's a mild way of saying they were fraudulent, because they're in the military, you have what we call a spirit of corps. So they will not say their predecessors were fraudulent, but that is a fact. Then if you talk of the MDAs, I mean, the MDAs in Nigeria are like conduit pipes, There's so much fraud. The MDAs are immersed in fraud. And Tinubu is a Nigerian. He was in Nigeria and he witnessed what happened So if it's not comfortable, the MDS is not a must that you must change. But you have to change one or two because you have to put your loyalists in office. These are some of the benefits of supporting somebody. There is no problem. But almost all, because they're immense. I mean, look at how many times the National Assembly invited the chiefs to come and appear before them, and they bluntly refused. So none of them turned up.
Yeah, but
only maybe one or two. And
yes, apologies.
Yes, I wanted to go to the quickly to the.
Go ahead. Go ahead quickly then. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, the Comptroller-General of Customs. That is one thing that Nigerians are well pleased with. You went and brought and somebody that retired as a colonel from the army and made him Comptroller-General. You can imagine a lot of people resigned their appointment because they saw it as an insult. You're also telling Nigerians that the army is superior to the customs, and all kinds of interpretations were moving into that. A colonel, then you talk of Comptroller-General of Customs, and this was a man who was so arrogant, he was hubristic, refused to put on the customs uniform. Even when he was mandated, he was forced or compelled by the National Assembly that without the customs uniform, he was not going to appear before. He refused, and eventually, well, they gave him what else would they do when even the commander-in-chief could not order him. And this was a man who retired, who is not in tune with modern technology. Retired as a colonel, not even as chief of army staff, a colonel. You brought him to superintend over deputy Comptroller-Generals and Comptroller-Generals. So already what you're telling the world is that the army is superior. But I say no, the army is not superior. The army, when it comes to war, is superior. But when it comes to what the Constitution says, the mandate given to the customs is superior. So
right.
that a lot of us are really happy that that has been corrected by Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask something. You were going there, but quickly, if we can, because we're working with time here. The previous service chiefs, a lot of people, when they came in, to replace the likes of Tukur Buratai and those who were there before, people argued that, these were battle trained, their experience at war and and security and all of that. But Nigerians would still, say that these, past service chiefs failed to keep Nigeria safe.
Are you saying this?
And Nigerians safe. So what I'm asking is
this one's now.
No. I'm talking about the ones who have just been replaced.
Okay.
So what I'm asking is, because every time, like you said, the commander-in-chief will bring in fresh names, fresh hands here and there, but what are we lacking? Is it, battle-trained service chiefs and heads of security agencies, or is it a Nigeria that truly wants to work and protect Nigerian citizens? And do we have that? Do we think we have that? Because there's going to be, you would also agree, I guess, that if we're truly being honest with, actually digging deep into what Nigeria's security challenges are, we will do a proper audit of military spendings in the last decade and more. We would continue to do that audit and ensure that every single penny that is released for security with these new service chiefs goes into security. We would invest more in security. So if we don't invest properly in security, we don't do a proper audit, if we don't, agree that every single penny is justly used, then aren't we wasting our time with just bringing in new names?
Well, it really has to do with the personnel. I mean, the military, if you talk of the service chiefs, precisely the army and the military, the police and the military, of course, they all know what to do because they were trained. They were not just made generals overnight. These are people who rose through the ranks, from second lieutenant up to major general, before probably they were made general. So they know what to do. They know the lay of the land, so to speak. And if you have the issues with the commander-in-chief, we had a commander-in-chief that had this laissez-faire attitude. I mean, I can comfortably, and please, before you button, let me say it, I can comfortably say the rot in the military could be attributed to President Muhammadu Buhari, former President Muhammadu Buhari, okay, once a president, always better, Muhammadu Buhari, who was an accomplice, both in the oil sector, because he was the Minister for Petroleum for 8 years, we were told that there's so much fraud in the industry, you had the cabal, and for 8 years you could not name and mention, and you're the Petroleum Minister, so you're part of the cabal. The same thing with the military. You cannot keep a service chief for 6 years, because once you do that, you find out that you discourage others in the force. The aim of every soldier is to be a service chief. So when you keep them for so long, a lot of them now lose interest because they know that they will never become service chiefs, and which means there is no point to work. There is no point to put in the effort. And even those under ordinary who would advise their superiors that do this, let us address this, will definitely not bother, because they'll say, since you put so much confidence in him and you believe that he can deliver, let him deliver. So they'll even work against the system. I'm talking of the junior officers. These are some of the issues. They'll even work against the system to ensure that that man you trust so much fails. That is number one. Number two, monies are voted. You don't have a system to superintend over the disbursement of that money. You look at what their successors said, that monies were released for the purchase of this. We can't find that here. What is it called again for the juniors? I'm looking for the particular name. I'm talking remuneration, but there is a word they usually use. For the juniors are not given. And even when kidnaps are done, you find out that even the soldiers, we had on stations, traditional media, we're not now talking about the social media. Social media, you cannot ascertain the veracity of finance news. But we are not talking about traditional, where people came out to say, when you get there, even the soldiers will tell you, give me my car. They say, bring 10 million, give me my own. By the time you get to the destination, they will understand.
But the point being made here.
Because the point I'm trying to make is, if no money can be too much in terms of security, no. It depends on the circumstance and what the challenges you're facing at that time. No money. Because when you have the budget for security, I can tell you that most times you exceed that budget.
Now, what I'm asking, Mr. Ngotara, is are we going to say that it is a failure of leadership from the Buhari administration that made every single ministry, department, agency, including security, all of them to perform that way? And do we trust that this new administration has a better, will be different, would work better
with
these appointments?
Definitely. When I say failure, colossal. You can tell an idea of police to relocate to Ghana and the man will not go. And that was the end of the story. It's a failure, but in this case, I cannot say where Tinubu was going to fare better. So far, I'm comfortable. I know I'm one of the greatest critics of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but so far, I'm comfortable with the changes he's done. But I don't know if he's trying to ingratiate himself because he has at least another 4 years. It depends on the tribunal. But then the truth about it is that Tinubu has so far shown Nigerians that he knows the issues, the problems of the country, and he has what it takes to tackle. But I don't have the gift of cleverness to know if he's going to continue on this trajectory.
Okay.
Time will tell.
We'll see.
The moon moves slowly, but by daybreak it has crossed the sky. Let us just hope he's not going to just sustain it, but he's going to improve on it. If God grants him.
I guess we'll just have to wait and find out, what, if really, just like you said, if, he'll go on in this trajectory. I'd also like to find out what your thoughts are on people who say that the role of service chiefs have become strictly political and not, based on people who are actually qualified. I know you've analyzed some of the positions like the IGP and the Comptroller-General, but, there are people who still hold the perspective that it's become purely political and a position where the leadership puts people in office to carry out unethical tasks. Is this a position that you think can be substantiated? And also, are there names that you think... Are you talking of
service chiefs?
Yes.
You're talking of service chiefs?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, are there names that you think that you would have liked to have heard being mentioned, people you think who should have also been mentioned that, haven't been mentioned so far?
In terms of what appointments? Are you talking of ministerial advisors or just the service chiefs?
The service chiefs. We're focusing on the service chiefs.
Oh, the service chiefs.
Yes.
Well, service chiefs, yes, it's political. No doubt about that. I mean, it's like that of, like the CP is the highest rank in police. A lot of people don't understand. From AIG, DIG, and IG is political. The highest rank is the CP. Once you get to the CP, you said that you got it to the top. It's like in the ministry. Directors are the highest rank. PAMSEC is a political appointment. So this, you have to understand this. Even in that of a judge, the chief judge of the state, is strictly political. That's the truth about it. So if you say that the appointment of the service is political, of course it's political. All you need to do is retire his superiors and make him a service chief. It's a normal thing. That is political. But then, in your choice, certain issues are taken under advisement. You give a penetrating thought to certain issues. Yes, I agree. This is my friend. But does he also have what it takes to be a service to the chief of army staff? Does he have the control? Does he have the command? Is he good in what he's doing? These are all the considerations. It is not just because it is political, you're going to be a non-entity as a service chief. No. He's political, yes. I have maybe 10 friends as rear admirals in the Navy. Now, out of the 10, you start saying, okay, Mr. A is this, but something is lacking. Mr. B is this, but Mr. C has at least 70% of what I want. I'll appoint Mr. C. Then the others, you can now post them to different divisions and so on. So the appointment of a service chief is political. There is nothing like it's based on the merit or no merit. But merit is the major consideration, but it is political. Because in appointing your service chiefs, you should also understand that the security of the nation is in their hands. Any slight mistake, especially for those who are not military men, and would depend on the advice of military men. That's why you have the National Security Advice. Any mistake could lead to the extinction of a nation. So you have to consider all those things. In terms of insurrection, in terms of external aggression, and so you consider a lot of this. And in terms of the man's IQ.
Yeah.
So if you say it's political, yes, it is political.
One thing, that I would keep going back to is proper assessment of security spending. The Nigerian police force, for decades now, there have been calls for proper training and retraining, proper funding of the Nigerian police force, less of these excuses. If we still don't get to the part where we'll say, okay, we need state police and we approve that there should be state police, then there should be proper funding. But these excuses of, police not having, petrol in their vehicles or not having funding, to carry out, their work and stuff like that needs to be addressed, because there are billions of naira that is approved for the police every year. And so if we do not get there, and this is why I keep saying that I feel it's plain to the gallery, if we don't get to the point where we see that proper funding is given to security, and at the same time, these funds are used for training and retraining, for investing in science and in information technology, investing in different forms of security architecture, then we might be wasting our time. We might have Jesus, well, not Jesus, but we can have Angel Gabriel, as IG of police, and nothing will change. One thing that I also want you to speak on is the controversy concerning the...
Even Jesus, you're correct, even Jesus.
Yeah, I do want to disrespect.
One on the left, one on the right.
But
yes, it's still active in this time.
But I want you to also speak on the controversy that also, I saw yesterday, people saying, oh, there's not a fair spread of people from different parts of the country. We only have one person from the southeast being named, in the list of appointments. Every other person there is from the north or from the southwest, northeast. Do you think that is a fair, statement to still be making in this time?
In terms of the service chiefs again.
Yeah, I mean, in general, all the appointments that have been made so far, we've barely seen, but mostly, across security architecture, there's just one person from the southeast there.
How many were they expecting? Human beings are naturally fastidious. I'm one man that is always in support of promoting the southeast. Now you have, under Buhari, what did you get? Human beings are just naturally fastidious. Were you expecting all the service chiefs to be from the southeast? And more appointments will come. You definitely going to have more appointments, whether service chief or not. At least you have one. And that is to show you how sensitive the appointer is. Because we all know that a lot of people were not happy with the Buhari's administration, especially in terms of appointments. Then in terms of corruption, why you say the policemen are talking of the police now, a clear example, it has to do with the IG. It comes from top to bottom. You see, when the IG is corrupt, of course it will cascade. A very good example is when an Inspector General of Police tells you, no more checkpoints. Just as he's announcing, the man on the road is saying, Liba, you need to chop you, why not go chop you? The Commissioner of Police will reiterate that. But that same Commissioner of Police drives on the streets, let's say Port Harcourt, and you see have the checkpoints. The DPO will drive around, you still have the checkpoints, and they'll make returns to the DPO, who is supposed to enforce the orders. So how can you expect them to perform well? The IG, our money is meant for renovation of barracks, provision of whatever they will work with, the equipment and all whatever. The IG will just pocket off. We had the issue of Tafa Balogun. And Tafa Balogun's case came to the fore because the president at that time, Obasanjo, was interested in the matter. And it was Tafa Balogun's greed of, was it 10 million naira or so, that he took, and was forcing him and also punished him, that exposed it, because he was greedy out of how many hundreds of millions. So the truth is, most police IGs are corrupt. And because you're corrupt, you don't have the guts to caution your juniors, because they will squeal. And most of them also carry out this nefarious acts in collaboration with their juniors, so the juniors will also not talk. So you can't tell the man that you go to police and they say bail is not free. Yes, you have the bail is free. Yes, you have to pay. Will the CP tell me he's not aware? Will the IG? Thank God for social media that is almost, I'm twisting them to do certain things. Especially when it comes to assault, battery. Or will they tell me that the CP will tell me that he's not aware that the DPO should collect money for bail before you are granted? So it has to do with the IG himself. If you have an IG, I hope Arasi will do something good, because one IG I respected so much was not.
Right.
So if the IG is fair, others will be fair. Once there is a report, it's not a question we're investigating. Especially when it's on social media. You're seeing it live. What are you investigating? Dismiss that person immediately. Others will, when they told the front, fall into a pit, others to take caution. That should be the practice.
I'd like us to, steer the conversation a little. I mean, still within what we're talking about, right? In President Muhammadu Buhari's time, we had reports that over 63,111 Nigerians were killed during the 8-year tenure, according to reports. In the past few weeks, we've seen a number of Nigerians who have been killed as a result of violent attacks. What is unfortunately happening is there's become some desensitization going on. And it's almost like people are in a way numb to these killings because it's happening every other day. Should we be excited? Should we have hope again that with these new appointments, that security will be prioritized, done as it should be, and that we would have an end to terrorism and banditry in Nigeria?
Well, it is my candid wish that spring shall be reborn under the bright steps of present service chiefs. Like I said, I don't know any one of them, and even those that know them cannot emphatically say this is what they will do, because human beings can never be trusted. That's the truth. Having said this, it is only our prayer that these killings will be minimized. You can't completely stop crime. Even in America, you can't stop crime. You can't stop crime. Crime is synonymous with development. But sadly, in our own case, it's the reverse. We are not developing, and we are being immersed in all kinds of crimes. So it is our prayer that the service chiefs will do their best, level best, to ensure that they minimize these things. And the only way is to ensure that these crimes are not committed with impunity. That's the way to do it, no matter whose ox is God. And the president too must be interested in what is going on. Most times when they get into ASU, they tend to forget about the outside world. Anything can go on. That was the first criticism of Bola Ahmed Tinubu concerning the subsidy, the removal of subsidy. He shouldn't have done it. We are all preparing. We said end of June. But he just came and suddenly removed subsidy, and we're all feeling the effects of it. That until tomorrow I'll condemn him. There is no explanation for that. Because what he's trying to do right now is to, of what use is locking the stable when the steed is out? You want to go and lock the stable when already the horse is out. Of what use is that? But he's done that mistake. Probably he felt that was good. Nigerians are going to hate him for that. But he saw the condemnation. There can never be any excuse for that. Then back to the issue of killings and so on that is going on in the country. We pray, because we don't even know, we just hear, based on their antecedents, that yes, they are going to acquit themselves creditably as service chiefs. We pray they acquit themselves creditably as service chiefs. It's just a hope. And we pray that they are going to move us from this despair to the mountain of hope. But we cannot say, nobody can tell you. Only God or Nostradamus can tell you this is what they're going to do.
Well,
So we're going
fingers
to
crossed.
watch and see what happens.
Fingers crossed,
Yes,
and of
fingers
course,
crossed.
we will see, the performance of the new government and, of course, the new service chiefs and the new appointments. We're still waiting for the ministerial
Because
list.
even Tinubu
Hopefully
can
that
change.
comes.
This Tinubu can even change.
Well,
The case is in court, so he can even change. So let us just
very
wait.
true. Opunawa
Fingers
Inkutaria,
crossed.
always a pleasure hearing from you. Thank you very much for your time this morning, and we'll love to speak with you again.
Thank you, Oli. Thank you, sir.
All right.